So there is some really interesting stuff going on for the iPhone 10, and I wanted to go and kind of take a look at how this particular iPhone is holding up in the later part of 2023. Now, for some reason, I keep thinking it's 2024. I have no idea why, but here's the main thing to keep in mind. The iPhone 10, in my opinion, is still a very, very decent iPhone for what you're getting, but keep in mind, I probably would not recommend buying this iPhone anymore. And we'll talk about that throughout this video. Now, the first thing, the body of this iPhone still is holding up quite well in 2023. I think it holds up very well against the iPhone 15, surprisingly. And you have to keep in mind, the iPhone 10 came out when? In like 2017? That was like 6 years ago. That's a crazy amount of time for this iPhone to still be around, and that in and of itself is a very, very crazy thing. You wouldn't think about, owning an iPhone like this at this caliber and still, performing at these levels, but that's exactly what's going on, and that is a very, very crazy thing. So the body of this thing still feels very good. The display on this thing, it's 5.8-inch Super Retina OLED display, is still performing very, very well. And I think the overall body of this thing is still at a very good level. Now, on top of that, you're still getting, a dual camera setup on the back, which is amazing. You're getting, very good build quality. And like I said before, this iPhone still is performing at very high levels from that standpoint. Now, some other things to keep in mind. This iPhone internally has that Apple 11 Bionic chip inside with 3 gigabytes of RAM. It's not a crazy big deal. iPhones like the iPhone XR still have 3 gigabytes of RAM. So it's not like you're missing out on like a crazy amount. But like I said, you're definitely getting a much better, overall better phone, in my opinion, on something like the iPhone XR, XS, 11, those ones that are still supported. But that brings us to basically the biggest change that kind of affected this iPhone. The iPhone 11, the iPhone XR, those iPhones are like the lowest supported iPhones right now that are currently supported with software. The iPhone 10 isn't really supported with like full-on software updates. It's still kind of supported, meaning like you're still getting like some software updates, but for the most part, the iPhone 10 is kind of like not really supported anymore. So that's kind of the issue that we're at right now. If you're wanting a device that's still supported with software, you're pretty much going to have to go for something like the iPhone, XR or above. So that kind of brings us to the main problem with the iPhone 10. So from what I can see from my, personal opinion, with the iPhone 10, you're kind of stuck on iOS 16. This is not the best situation to be stuck with this particular phone, because you'd probably want to get a device that's still kind of somewhat supported with software, and you're not really getting that with the iPhone 10. Like, yes, it's still getting iOS 16. If you want to use it for the next couple of months or a year or two, then you should be okay. But I would probably say for the vast majority of people, you're probably not going to be okay with getting a phone like this, if I'm being completely honest. So that's kind of how it kind of start up this specific, situation. Now, on top of that, the iPhone 15s also came out, which is basically the newest iPhone you could ever buy. And I did compare the iPhone 10 against the iPhone 15. And what I found was the iPhone 15 is definitely a better phone overall than the iPhone 10. There's definitely some overlap. Like, I think the displays, are still very good on the iPhone 10. They compare well to the iPhone 10, or the 10 compares well to the iPhone 15. Also, like devices like the iPhone, 15 are giving you much better cameras and everything. There's still some similarity, like you can kind of still see like some overlap, but for the most part, you're definitely getting like a brand new, way better device on the iPhone 15 than from something like the iPhone 10. So it is kind of interesting how a lot of these things kind of overlap and kind of change. But from what I can tell you, definitely for a fact, the iPhone 10, for what it is right now, it's not necessarily what it was. I think last year this iPhone was still worth buying. But because this year, since my mid-year review of this thing, the main versions of software came out, iOS 17 came out, like so many things changed. And because of that, I probably wouldn't really recommend buying this particular iPhone anymore, if I'm being honest. If you're still owning it though, then keep it for like another year or two. But I wouldn't really recommend buying this iPhone anymore. So that pretty much covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.